Okay, so it's 5 past, so what we'll do is we'll get started. So I want to just welcome those who have just joined us. So today's quick learn we will be covering how to use the suggest payments option within the suppliers module. So this is going to be the agenda for today's session. So we're going to start by introducing suggest payments and the criteria. This will then lead into the demonstration on how to mark a supplier as priority, how to apply payment method type, and how to utilise the suggest payments option. I will then come back to the slides and then summarise the session by discussing upcoming webinars. Please do keep your questions coming throughout the session so either me or Michael can pick that up. So, introducing the suggest payments option. So suggest payments option helps you identify and suggest which suppliers should be paid first based on criteria. I'm going to make it clear now, the suggestions are optional and you can override the values that the program suggests. So within this window, only overdue invoices will show. There is an option to exclude suppliers paid by direct debit or standing order. Priority suppliers are allocated payment first. Funds are allocated to the highest overdue balance first, then to the next higher overdue balance, and so on and so forth. To determine the overdue balance, the due date on the transaction is used. If any funds for payment remain after all priority suppliers are paid, the remaining funds are allocated to the next highest overdue balance first, and then so on and so forth. Please note this option is only available on standard or professional variant of the software. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go straight into our software and we'll see what this looks like. Okay, so we're in our software now. So we're just going to go down to suppliers down the left-hand side here. As you can see, I've got my list of suppliers in here. If I just select all of my suppliers, there we go. And we can see I've got an outstanding balance in the bottom right here of 18936.00. You can also see as well, I've got in my column which shows which suppliers are my priority suppliers. To show this column, anywhere along this blue bar here, right click on your mouse and make sure there's a tick next to priority supplier. If there's not, you can just tick that as so. So I'll just find that again, priority supplier, tick it, and it now shows in the list. So you can see I've got two priority suppliers there. I've got one with a Y in there and one with a Y in there as well. To mark a supplier as priority, you just go into the records. I'm just going to choose Superior Technologies. I'm going to double click. I'm going to go into Credit and Control. And I'm going to select the option Priority Supplier. The reason that you might mark them as a priority is they might give you discount for paying earlier, or there might be other reasons as to why they need to be paid first. Once you've ticked that, you can just click Save, and then just close that window down. You can see now Superior Technologies now has a Y in that column. Let's have a look at the Suggest Payments option. So we're going to go along the top, the toolbar along the top, and we're going to suggest payments option here. So you can see it opens up this window for me. So by default, it is organized by priority. You can't change that. That is what it's going to be organized by. You can change it by just clicking on any other option within there, but I want mine organized by priority. You can also tick this option here So this is to exclude any suppliers paid by direct debit or standing order. What I'll do is before we go and do the suggest payments option, I'll show you how you can add the payment method to your supplier record. So if we just close out of there, if we just go into unique systems, if we go to bank down the left hand side, you've got payment method here. So if you click on the drop down, you can see you've got all these options. So you've got backs, cash, check, credit card, direct debit, standing order, other, or you can see you've got user defined 1 to 5. So that means that you can actually create your own payment methods. So it might be that you don't want to use other and you want to be more specific. If you click on the 3 little dots here, it gives you the option to customize them. So it might be that you want to use PayPal as an option. And it also gives you the option to say that it's an online payment. If you were just to click OK, we now look at that drop down, you can see PayPal is now an option. But for this option, for this example, I'm going to use direct debit / standing order. Just to make you aware as well, if you do create any of those custom ones, it does apply to all users within the company. I'm now going to click Save and Close. And I'm now going to go back to that Suggest Payments option along the top. So you can see I've got unique systems here shown at the bottom. If I untick that, because I don't want it to show, I want it to exclude it, you can now see unique systems no longer shows in the list. If I want it to show, I can just untick that box. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to enter the funds for the payment. You can see it's got an asterisk here. That means it's mandatory. So let's just say we're going to add in that exact amount that needs to be paid to all our suppliers. So we're just going to enter in 18,936. You also want to be selecting the bank account as well. It's automatically selected mine as default as 1200. I'm going to leave mine as that. If you do use foreign trader and your invoice is in a different currency to your base currency, you need to make sure that you change it to the relevant bank account or it won't work. So now we've put the funds in, we've selected the bank account. We're now going to select the suggest payment option. And what that does is you can see now the payment amount, and it's suggested how much we need to pay each supplier. Because we've put the exact amount in that is due, it has equally divided that money up to what is outstanding. But let's just say we didn't put 18,000 in, we just put 10,000 instead and suggest a payment. You can see now, so you can see unique systems, it's took that amount away because that's not what is due. You can see it's only split the one for concept stationery supplies, so that is 15,000 that's overdue, but it's only allocated 8,000. Again, like I said, these are only suggestions. You don't have to use these suggestions. Once you've done that and it's made a suggestion, you can then click Make a Payment along the top. What it does is it'll bring up the first supplier in the list that is to be paid. So if we just make this a little bit smaller, you can see Thomson Electricals was the first priority, so it's populated that account for me. Now this is just a normal payment window, as you would if you were processing a supplier payment. There's nothing different to this. So like you say, you would just process as normal. You might want to pay this in full. I am on this occasion going to pay this in full. So if I do pay in full in the top right, top left even, sorry, make sure your dates are correct and whatever else you may need to populate. And then you just click Save. So that's posted that payment for me and it's allocated it to that invoice. If I close that window down, it takes me back to this Suggest Payments window. And as you can see now, Thomson Electricals is now showing no longer overdue or outstanding. and then payment made is that amount. So then if you look along the top here now, it says we've currently paid £1,203.60. The remaining that we have is £8,796.40, and that's of the 10,000 that I'd originally entered. And this is how much out of all my total suppliers I've still got outstanding. And you see balance here, that's referring to your bank balance that you have within the software. Once you're happy with what you've processed, you can just close the suggest payments window. So like I say, it might be just that I just wanted to know how much to pay for that particular area. So once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to click close. But if I was to go back into that suggest payments window, it does clear the funds that you've entered into there. So you would have to enter funds in again if you did accidentally close that window. Now, this option does not impact your ability to create remittances or e-payments. It is simply a window to suggest which suppliers are to be paid first, and it opens up the regular payment window as you would normally. Now, if you're not seeing a supplier that you are expecting to see, it may be that if you have any payments on accounts that are on there on the record, which makes the balance zero, but the payment is not allocated to an invoice, it will not show within this window. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So you can see unique systems at the moment is in there. So let's just post a, let's not do payment unique systems. What we'll do is we'll do office equipment. So if I just go and do a supplier payment for Wallace office equipment, but I just post that amount, so it's £67.20, but don't allocate it. And I just click save. And yes, I want to post a payment on account. If I then go into suggest payments option now, Wallace office equipment no longer shows, and that's because there's a payment on account has reduced that balance, but it's not allocated to the invoice. It still won't show because the balance is zero. So just be aware, if you're not seeing something, just check to see if you've got any payments and accounts in there that may need to be allocated. So that is the suggest payments option. It helps you identify which suppliers should be paid first. Just a reminder, it is only a suggestion, so you can overtype amounts and who is paid when you go into the payments window. If you are wanting to know a guide for this option on our help centre, there is an article called Suppliers Credit Control. Alternatively, if you're using version 29, you can click the help option in the top right hand corner here. And what it'll do is it'll open up articles that are relevant to this area of the programme. So we'll just let this load. You can see here, Suppliers Credit Control, and it gives you the steps within this article. So all you do is you would scroll down, you would click Record Suggest Payments and Suppliers, and it tells you exactly how to do that process. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put back to my software, and I will conclude the session with upcoming webinars. Just a reminder, keep your questions coming in by clicking that little question panel down the right hand side that looks like a little speech bubble. But whilst we're waiting for any extra questions to come through, I can see there's been one that Michael's been able to cover there. Let's just see what that is, bear with me. Yes. So Maha has asked why my suggest payments is showing in red lines. So if it's red text, it simply means that the supplier has exceeded their credit limit. So that's a good question there. Okay, so upcoming webinars that we have. So tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we've got bank reconciliation. So that's how to get your bank reconciliation right every time. And you learn how to use the manual bank rec feature. On Friday, we've also got running the year end. So it's on Friday the 30th at 11 o'clock. And that's how to prepare for running your year end and the optional post year end tasks as well. On the right hand side there, we've also got some more topics coming up. So we've got 5 top tips to get your VAT right. We've got another quick learn, so that's how to send information to Excel. You've got the Sage report library as well. Processing contra entries. And then backing up your data as well. If we look at the webinar page as well, I'll just quickly pop to that while we're waiting for any questions to come through. So on here, if we on the Help Center, we can go to webinars. I'll let this load. So it's taking a little bit longer there. There we go. So we can see we've got the upcoming webinars on here. You've got view previous recordings. So if you did need any support with processing any supplier or customer payments, we do also have quick learns on those as well, where you can pop into here. Got some questions coming through. Let's have a little look. I can see Margaret's asked there, is the VAT top tips webinar for the UK only? Yes, it will be for the UK only there. If we scroll down to the bottom there. Just want to quickly show you as well. If you've looked at our upcoming and our recordings and you're not seeing a topic that you want to see, you can also come to the very bottom of this page and you've got the option to suggest a new topic. You can fill out that form and then we look at those forms for potential topics in the future. I'll just minimize that. Okay. So that does bring us to the end of today's session. Please feel free to stay around for the next couple of minutes or so if you are waiting for an answer to a question or you have any further questions to ask. But if you have got what you needed today and you want to leave the session, you're more than welcome to. You will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. I can see there are some questions coming through, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop myself on mute so I can assist in answering some of these as well. So bear with me. So I can see a question's just come in there from Jules as well. Is there a quick learn webinar plan for bank reconciliation? There won't be a quick learn. We do have a full session on that, as it needs to be explained in a bit more detail. So that wouldn't be a quick learn. Got another question from Margaret there as well. Is it possible to drill down on the payments listed in the suggest payments window? So like I can see Michael's answered there. So you wouldn't be able to drill down within that window, but what you would be able to do is make a payment and you would be able to see the breakdown of all the invoices or credits or whatever it may be outstanding on the account. You can see Margaret's asking me to demonstrate this. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly pop back to my software. Bear with me a moment. Okay, so you can still see I'm still within this window here in the suggest payments. So if you were to click make a payment, bear with me a second, let me just put a value in there. So if I click make a payment, suggest a payment, sorry, dear me, there we go. Right, then make a payment. You can see what it does when you click make a payment. It'll bring up, I've only got one outstanding invoice on this account at the moment. What you can do is you can see which invoices may be due on that account, and then you can select which invoices you even pay once you're in here as well. It's just the normal payment window that it brings up. Like you say, if you just want to have a look, you could, if you don't want to post a payment for that, you could just click close and it would just take you back to this one. You wouldn't be able to select which one either, I don't think. Let me just double check. Yes, so if you, as long as you've got the highlight, the payment amount area selected, you can click make a payment and it will bring up that particular supplier. Okay, so I can see there's one more question outstanding there, but what we'll have to do is we'll end the session. But that person who has asked that question will get back to you via email. So what I'll do is I'll want to say thank you to Michael, who's been on hand today to answer your questions, and thank you to all for your participation. Just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say thank you and take care.